In today's video, we're doing a versus, and we're doing it with the Pixel tablet and the OnePlus Pad. These are brand new tablets that just released, so let's get into the video and talk about the specs, everything that I like about these, and which one I personally like the most. So I'll leave the specs and the descriptions to each of the tablets in the description below, but we're going to cover some of the main points and differences between the tablets, and then we'll talk about other things as well regarding the tablets. So the tablets are pretty much the same size. They are a little different in aspect ratios. If we look here, we can see that the OnePlus Pad is a little bit bigger than the Google tablet, and there's a specific reason for that. OnePlus has made the first 7:5 aspect ratio. Most of the time it's a 16:10 for tablets, I believe. So they went a different route to make it feel more like a sheet of paper. And the reason that's important that they went that way especially is because there are accessories that go with it, which we'll talk about here shortly. But other than that, the other big difference with the display in the two is the Google one only supports up to a 60 hertz refresh rate, where the OnePlus actually supports up to 144. So it's very nice and smooth. You can tell on this big of a display that that is very helpful. You can tell it in the Pixel not having it, but still I don't feel like it's a deal breaker though with either one having that fast refresh rate, but it is definitely nicer. You have a smoother experience. It feels like a longer life and longer use case experience with the OnePlus versus the Pixel only being at 60 hertz. You know, a lot of phones have had this for a long time now, and it's a very nice thing to have, especially after you get used to it. You don't want to go back to 60 hertz. Beyond that, they are similar in a lot of ways. The RAM is 8 gig on both. They both come spec'd at 128 gig of storage space. You can get the Pixel tablet a little bit bigger. I believe 256 is another option. The processors, even though the OnePlus is using a MediaTek 9000 processor, and Google is using their Tensor G2. If you do some searching on them and read all the specs of what the processor can do, they're almost identical in each level of their processors, and the primary processor to the third processor in what each of them do, and even their clock rate on each of those processors are very similar. So, am I really noticing that much of a difference in day-to-day use from browsing to videos to gaming even? No, they seem almost identical to me when I do anything on the tablets as far as the processing goes. And 8 gig for a tablet is plenty. I haven't ran into any issues. Weight is a little bit heavier on the OnePlus Pad. I don't feel like either one is unwieldy or too heavy to hold, but you can definitely notice that there is a little bit better quality and build overall to the OnePlus, which makes it a little bit heavier than the plastic that the Pixel tablet is using. Both of these tablets also have cameras, front facing and rear facing. The Googles are both 8 megapixels. I believe it's 8 megapixels on the OnePlus on the front and 12 on the back. Honestly, just really a standard tablet camera. You know, good for scanning documents really, or being on some web conference, you know, Zoom, Teams, etc. I wouldn't use them for any picture taking. Of course, price is always a factor with tablets. You know, a lot of us only use tablets for multimedia consumption, or, you know, surfing the web or something. So you want a very cost-effective tablet. And both of these, in my opinion, they are right under the 500 mark. The OnePlus Pad is $479, and the Pixel tablet is at $499. And there's a reason I believe that justification in price is a little higher, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute with the accessories that come with it. But as far as the price goes, I think it's in line for this quality of a tablet. You know, obviously there's cheaper ones, from Fire tablets to even on the Walmart brand tablets that you can get around 150 or less. So depending on what your price range is, there are tablets that are lower, but for this price range and the kind of in the middle price range, I think it's a good price for both of these. Now on to accessories, which is the main discussion about these tablets and their features. The OnePlus did a great job on offering some core accessories to make it feel more like a computer that has been branded by tablets for the last few years because of one company. I won't say that company, but everybody knows that ad. So the OnePlus has accessories that you can purchase separately, which are a stylus and a folio or a magnetic keyboard folio. I really like the magnetic keyboard folio. It's all closes up and the keyboard is really nice. It also has a trackpad built into the keyboard, and since Android does a little bit better job at mouse movements and having a pointer on the OS, it actually works really good as a trackpad and moving within the OS. And OnePlus, of course, with Oxygen OS has done quite a bit there to add features in for multitasking. Swiping up on the trackpad can get you to the multitasking window, swiping down. There's features built into what you're normally used to seeing on like a Windows or a Mac trackpad on a laptop. Those same kind of functions are built into the trackpad on the OnePlus keyboard, which is really nice. The pen is supposed to, I believe, have a 2 millisecond response time from touching the screen to writing. Obviously, either of these that I've used with the Pixel tablet, which supports a different style of pen, I'll get into that in a moment, I really can't notice a difference to quantify that 2 millisecond response time. To me, it feels good. Yeah, the pen is built very good as well. It's a nice weighted pen, and so it's nice to use and write, draw, and whatever else you may be doing on the tablet. So as far as the Pixel tablet goes, some interesting accessories go along with this. It does support USI stylus, which is an initiative that was brought to the Chromebooks a few years ago or a couple years ago. Basically, it is a stylus pen as well. It's not your foam tip stylus. It's just like a stylus you would have on an iPad or the OnePlus or a Microsoft Surface, something like that. So the response time on that one is really good. And with the benefit of being a USI supported tablet, you can go to Amazon and pick up whatever style or flavor of pen USI 2.0 that you prefer. So I've got a link in the one I picked. It's a very recommended good brand of USI 2.0 stylus. So again, the weight on that is really nice, but you know, that's a third party, so won't talk much about that. Google also released their own case as well. It's a little magnetic ring case. Basically, it's a full case, but it has this magnetic ring on the back of it, which helps with the third accessory. And the third accessory is the most important, and luckily it is packaged with the Pixel tablet, and that is the dock. And that dock does several things. It obviously charges with some pogo pins, magnetic pogo pins, if we can see these here. So that's how you line them up. There's a bunch of magnets on the back of the device that help connect that into place. And then it is used as speaker dock. So Google's shift in this tablet is to make it more of a home hub, like your Nest Hub, Macs, or even smaller Nest devices. So that's what Google was aiming here with this tablet, was to be able to have it do multiple functions and not be your standard media tablet that just gets set around and collects dust after you get bored with it. And the longevity here, I think, is the most important thing to discuss. And I don't mean just longevity in just software and how good they're to be used, but honest opinions on what happens with tablets typically. Most people, I mean, the people that voted on a question I put up on my channel say that they mostly only use their phone anymore. And that's a true consensus across everyone that uses tablets and smartphones now, is if they do have a tablet, it just gets used for multimedia, YouTube or Netflix. And plus, making such a great keyboard and trackpad in their magnetic keyboard folio, they did a really good job on that. But with tablets, typically what happens after a while, they just sit around and they don't end up getting used that much. Collecting dust, maybe occasionally used to watch something, or maybe you'll take it with you on a trip for those long rides or plane rides that you need something to watch a video on. Where Google finally made the perfect solution to making sure their tablet was still used daily. And this was actually something I hoped Google would do for several years, is make this hybrid system, and they've done that. So basically this tablet can be used as a standard tablet you take around, you watch your Netflix, your YouTube, etc., or you dock it. And when you dock it, it becomes a home hub where you can access any of your lights, you can ask Google, standard Google questions, you can set routines, etc. With the flavor of Pixel OS on it as well, Google even built in, OnePlus has as well. Android's had this baked in for a long time, but they offered a easier way to switch user accounts right at the lock screen, which is very nice and handy in case somebody's just coming over, picking it up off the dock, and then wanting to play with it and use their personal content. Maybe a different Netflix account. So to conclude this, my personal preference on which tablet I like the best out of these two is the Pixel tablet. And it just comes down to its usefulness beyond just being a tablet. Most of the time, like I said before, we get these tablets, we even get them with their accessories and pins and folios, and we think we're going to use them a lot to use as a computer and replace our main computer and do all our notes on, or our documents, Word, and do all our meetings on it. And eventually they end up just becoming a multimedia device that we watch YouTube, Netflix, or whatever other streaming service on. And that's where I really like what Google did with the Pixel tablet. Does it have things that it needs to work on in Gen 2, Gen 3, or Pro version? Absolutely. I'd really like it to have the 120 or 144 hertz refresh screen like the OnePlus did. That was very nice. They're both LCD screens though, by the way, so quality of both are really good, but I would like to see that 144 hertz. The other thing that I was a little surprised with was when it was entered into the dock, I was actually anticipating Google having the Android OS boot into Fuchsia, which is Fuchsia, I believe, is the OS that is used now for the Nest Home hubs, the Nest Minis. Any of them are running on Fuchsia, I believe now, Fuchsia OS. It's another OS Google created several years ago. But in doing so, I understand if they did that, then there'd probably be a delay in the OS booting to that, and it wouldn't be such a seamless experience. But unfortunately, not having that full OS there baked in to do all Google Home functionality is you're running into some Android things and how it plays with being a home hub. Now, you can basically still do everything, but I have ran into situations like routines. So if you say, "Hey G, good morning," what typically happens is it goes through, let's say you have a joke set up and your tasks for today and anything on your calendar, it'll start all that, it'll do that. But if the tablet is locked, it can't launch any podcast program you have. So I have short media or news briefings in the morning just to know what's going on. And those don't start because it's a tablet. It needs to be unlocked to access those functions. And that goes further than just, Google Home routines. That goes into videos as well. So YouTube is a little bit of a difference on that, where sometimes it can launch YouTube still being locked and in the Home Hub or the docked menu. But other times, if you're trying to get into, like, let's say Netflix, for example, you would have to unlock the device, and then it would launch the app from your voice command, and then you could choose to watch what you wanted to. So there's a few experiences that I believe that they could improve with their Home Hub features when it's docked. The speaker itself could be louder as well. My Nest Home Hub Max is definitely substantially louder than this one. Now granted, both tablets actually have multiple speakers on each side, so that benefits to the Pixel because it'll still use those speakers as well as the dock when it's docked, but I still think the dock could have louder speakers overall. So those are just a few things to be concerned or be aware of if you are really looking at the Pixel tablet as your maybe even your main Home Hub and getting rid of your other Nest Homes. I don't feel like it can completely replace the other Nest Homes. You may want to have those still set up in your house, but I feel like the location this is really good for is maybe by your bedstand. You want to pick that up off the bedstand at night and watch something on it, but you're ready to go to bed, you dock it back on there. Or in my personal preference, I think it's really good at a desk, so that way you can take it off, use it at the desk to write notes, or use it for watching videos on while you're doing something on your computer, and then you can dock it and then ask it questions or do whatever whenever you're not mainly using it as tablet functions. And another thing that I think they could improve in Gen 2 is I think they put too many magnets in this, because it has a case of when you're trying to dock it into the dock with the pogo pins, that sometimes you do not line it up right and it doesn't enter into its Home Hub mode. So you may have to take it back off, set it back on. I think that's why they built that case with the ring around it, because that ring is specifically positioned on the back of this so that you can align the case better to the dock. But overall, personally for me, even though I really, really like the OnePlus Pad as well, like, I wish the screen, the refresh rate, better build quality would all be in the Pixel tablet, and then that would be the best tablet ever. But because of the Pixel's features and extra features and capability in Home Hub or the dock mode, and really being able to find a use case for a tablet when it's just being thrown around after a while, this can still be used over time, is why I choose the Pixel tablet over the OnePlus. So, if you got any questions about this or anything else you want me to review over either of these tablets, leave it in the comments, and make sure to smash that like button, and I'll see you in the next video.